So how you guys doing? Hope you're all well. I'm doing well as well. Today we're gonna make a little track from scratch, and yeah, to see where we end up. I'm just gonna start with my usual workflow and work my way towards constructing a full track. So I'm gonna start with some melody, some sound design, then going into some basics, song structure and mixing and mastering, and hopefully in about 2 hours we can get relatively far. We're not going to be able to make a whole song, of course. Probably intro, kind of a build, and then drop. But yeah, I suggest we just go ahead and start if all looks good. Everything should be looking fine. So let me see. Chat is working. Alright, nice. So usually how I start a song is I'll make a fairly basic chord patch. So I'm gonna go tempo, let's try 140, do some basic future bass tempo, and let me see my, yeah, should be all good. Okay, nice. So I'm just gonna start messing with, maybe make a little pluck. So I'm gonna turn the sustain down, the attack a little bit up. Something like that. And I don't want this really harsh saw wave. Because certain saw wave I was really a big fan of. It's quite harsh, hissy a little bit. But the Serm has this really nice Juno wavetables in analog. And if you go to the second wavetable position, you'll hear this is a much smoother, way nicer to listen to wavetable. Especially once we start adding some, maybe like that one. Some blend modes. Let's see, red minus. Maybe bend plus is the best. Just adding envelope 1 to that. And adding some more movement to that initial hit. What's up, Morris? How you doing? And then I want to add a little bit of a filter, so I'm just going to also drag the same envelope that I'm using for everything. Then maybe add a little bit of room, so I'm going to turn the mix down on this hyperdimension, turn the size down, and turn the mix up. And later on, if we make this into a little bit of a pattern, we can start maybe automating the size. I'm already looking to what parameters I can start automating. So for example, the decay time, the size and the dimension. Maybe if you add a filter, let's see, maybe a comb filter, turn the resonance up. So maybe no modulating for this. You can definitely mess around with this cutoff and the mix as we go along. Maybe no distortion yet. So now we have a nice simple little pluck. So I want to add some RC20. RC20 is a really nice plugin. I love this plugin. It adds noise, wobble, distortion. You can even add reverb as well. So I'm going to turn the Q off here. I'm going to mess with the noise generator. So usually when you play it, just plays at full volume and plays a little bit after you release the note as well. And when you play with the follow, so I'm going to put it at 100, you can hear it only plays exactly when I play, and it also kind of follows the envelope that the sound is playing as well. So this way you can really easily add a little bit of noise, a little bit of character to your sound, especially once you put it through the distortion here. And then add a little bit of room. And I like to do with my reverbs is open up the effect rack. So I'm going to group it. So let's say you start with this. I'm going to do Command G or Control G if you're on Windows. Open up this little chain. I'm going to call this verb. I'm going to make another chain called dry. Now what this does, it separates the reverb from the dry, and now we can start messing with just the reverb. So I'm going to maybe add a chorus before we go into the reverb. I'm going to add an EQ. And I'm also going to add a LFO tool. So what this does, it will create a really pumping feeling in the reverb. Create a lot of movement. And then I want a little bit of multiband compression, just to even out the frequencies a little bit. I'm going to play a lot of notes and make sure my glue compressor, its gain reduction is between 0 and -5. I found that's kind of the sweet spot, especially with synths. So nice. So now let's start writing a melody. So a tip for people that are a little bit less familiar with scales or music theory in general: write out the scale that you're playing. So for example, I want to write something in D minor or in E flat minor. Let's use that. So I'm going to use E flat, I'm going to use the F, I'm going to use the G flat, A flat, B flat, B, and D flat. So now I have all these notes right. I'm going to select them all, Command C, Control C, paste them, hold Shift, arrow up, paste it, hold Shift, arrow down, and do that a couple times. Spread it all over the keyboard range. And now what you're gonna have is all these notes that are all in the scale. But obviously now when you play it, you hear them all, and it's quite useless. So I'm gonna Command A, or Control A, select all, and press my arrow to the left. So what this does, it will move them all to before the MIDI clip. So even after you loop it, because the loop endpoint and starting point doesn't include all these notes, you'll never hear it, but you'll still be able to see it. So when you're writing your melodies and your chord progressions and whatever your bass lines, you can see exactly what notes you're supposed to use and what notes you're not supposed to use. So now we can instantly start messing around inside of the scale. Maybe I don't want to use E flat minor, maybe I want to use D minor. So then you just select them all, press arrow up or down, and now I can start creating. So this is D minor. So let's start messing around with some basic rhythms in the bass. So I like to start with the bass line. So choose the bass notes, and later on we can change them. We can mess around with them a little bit. This is a good starting point, at least for me, in order to kind of make it easier for myself to come up with a melody. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create some basic rhythm. Maybe I want to go down. And maybe go up octave there. So now we have a simple bass line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use thirds. So what that means is when you create a chord, you're going to use, for example, this B flat chord. It's going to become, if you use the scale to create a chord, you're always going to skip one and then use the next one and then skip one and use the next one. So for this chord, I'm going to use the B flat, the D, and the F. Now obviously this sounds super boring, right? It's just a major chord, everybody's heard it. But to create my kind of melody line, I'm going to get rid of the fifth and the one. So now we end up just with the three, third. I'm going to do that with the rest of these chords. Then when I go one step down, I want to go one step down here as well. You can see it doesn't fit in the scale, so I'm going to go one more. And we can do the same with the second chord. So again, make the chord. I usually do this in my head, but just to show you. And then get rid of the fifth, get rid of the one. And now you have the third. Now we have a good starting point, so now we can start messing around, maybe making it a little bit more interesting. So for example, you can start adding some other notes. Maybe add some variation here, so let's go down for a little bit. Maybe here we can go up a fifth, so from the A to the E. Let's see if that works. Maybe we can add that same rhythm we added here in the first half. So we have some rhythmical structure. So you can see rhythm-wise, this is almost identical, the first half to the second half. This way you don't get any weird surprises. It makes a lot of sense for the listener. So the only differences we have is this is like double time of this, and this is quite fast, and this is normal. But most of it is quite similar, so you can see that you have some structure, some pattern. So you have the first half and then the second half, which is rhythmically almost identical, but just notes are different. And that really helps make the progression make sense, if that makes sense. can mess around with this as well. Let's see. And if we want to be really extra, we can add these bass notes here as well. So I'm just going to make sure they fit in the scale. So now we can start. Maybe I want to transpose this. So say I think, you know what, that C is a little bit too low. I'm going to transpose it up 2 semitones to an E minor. I'm going to make sure I select all of these notes in front as well. 1, 2. Maybe I want to go up even more, so say I want to go to a G minor. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna turn this one down an octave. So at this point now, let me try it. Now we're gonna make the harmony. So the harmony sits between the melody layer and the bass layer. And it's basically not using the same notes, but using different notes that complement the main melody layer. So you can see the top layer is our main melody. And now we're gonna just fill that up. So fill up the space between this a little bit. So let's see. So that sounds nice. And the reason this sounds nice is because it's the 5th of bass chord. So the bass line pretty much determines which chord it's going to play. So you have the E flat, G, and then the B flat. So that's the 5th, and that's the reason why it sounds good, because you have already the 3rd. I have the 1, and this just complements it really well. You can hear the harmonics overlap, so the overtones overlap with the note an octave above, so that's why I'm not using that. And to get the 5th, it's basically get the bass line, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 semitones above the bass line. And that's pretty easy. And then just finish that, maybe. And then I'll use the 5th here as well. So now we have a nice basis. So what I'm going to do now is make a synths group. I'm actually going to save as well, just in case. Now I'm going to start creating bass and lead and the harmony layers. So now it's all in one layer. We have the chorus layer, and of course we want to save this as well. But for the drop, you want to split up your chains and your layers so you can process them individually and work on them really individually. So I'm going to make a MIDI channel. I'm going to copy over the MIDI, and I'm going to get rid of all the notes except of the top layer of notes. So no duplicates. So this has just serum. Now we can already, I'm just going to select all of this, and we have a bass line. So now we already have something to work off of. So let's say I don't really like that Juno wavetable for the lead. I'm going to use a sine. And I think it's a little bit too much noise. I'm going to turn it down. Maybe that brief is a little bit too long. And I want to distort it because we just now have to worry about one layer of MIDI. So now we can start distorting it. Like I still trash for that. So I'm going to turn off Hello Room and go into distort, try electric trash. And before I start distorting, I might, or afterwards, let's see, I want to EQ because you can see the fundamental now is really light. And it's really always trying to balance the fundamental with the overtones. And sometimes the fundamental gets really boomy and it starts taking up a lot of space in your mix, and your synth starts sounding like crap just because you forgot to try to balance the balance between the fundamentals and the overtones. So you can see the fundamental here is the lowest, most loudest harmonic. And you can turn it down and you will still be able to hear what note it's playing. You're not losing a lot of tonal quality or interest. You can afford to do that. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to layer the serum with maybe a contact. Let's see if we can find some interesting, maybe, I don't know, flute, some stringy impact. So I'm going to go into Ethno World 6. Let's see what this is. I forgot. So first of all, I'm going to turn it down a lot. This is supposed to be just in the background, just for some extra characters. So I'm going to go to Group Edit, turn down Sustain. And I want to go into Serum and start messing around with knobs that I want to automate. So I'm going to go to Cutoff, Mix, Decay. I will start adding all of these parameters inside of the serum. Let's see what else I would want to automate. Of course, a pitch bend wheel. It's always a good one. I think that's it. Maybe the size and the dimension. start messing with that as well. So now we have some parameters that we can mess around with. So I'm gonna go into automation mode, and let's see. Start with the pitch bend. So pitch bends, you can get really crazy with them. I try to be a little bit subtle. Stuff like this. Just a little glide. For example, here you can go from down to up again. Maybe go from up to down. Then just duplicate that. And then maybe go down. And maybe for the decay we can start messing around. So maybe let's use this kind of shape, just messing around. And use at that lane. Let's see, maybe the comb filter. Frequency and maybe effects as well. Let's see. So right now I'm automating the filter cutoff and the mix. Here, and maybe we can go down here. And maybe with the actual low pass as well. Now, of course, it won't do anything that much because we have a sine, I forgot. So we can pretty much get rid of that. Maybe the hyperdimension size. Towards the end. messing with maybe different wavetables. So I'm going to go to analog, again try to Juno. And with the decay, maybe we can turn it all a little bit up. So let's try that, and then in this artifact with the reverb we can try maybe adding a delay. So I'm going to add an echo, and let's see, dry wet on 100, try messing with the filter. Maybe even a guitar rig, so I want to try this just in case I find something cool. So I'll just throw in a guitar rig here and start messing around, scrolling through some presets. I'm going to turn it down a lot because it's just going to be an extra character layer on top. Let's try this. Something like this. I'm going to put an EQ 8. And Haas. So the way I'm going to do this is it's going to become really wide. I'm going to use time 0 and 21 milliseconds feedback on 0. No filter. Try with 100. So this way you don't really get an actual delay. Just the left channel gets delayed, or the right channel gets delayed about 20 milliseconds later than the left. So that way you can create a really wide signal. Just make this guitar rig. So maybe we can add some RC20 as well. Maybe add some attack. Nice. Let's see. Now we have the lead. I want to start adding the harmony. So I'm going to duplicate the lead, and I'm going to rename it harmony. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a milder version of the original lead. So just do as a supporting layer. So I'm going to make it this a sine wave. I'm going to make sure the decay is a lot shorter. And let's see, maybe turn down the noise. And also turn down the volume on this. So let's see. Also, of course, copy the MIDI from those chords and get rid of all the high notes. Let's see. And also all the bass notes. So now we can start adding a bass. So I'm gonna copy all of the bass notes and make a new MIDI clip, paste them, and I want to use I'm just gonna try an 808 sample at first, see if that works. So I'm gonna go to all results. Oh, this is not what I meant to do. I want some nice attack. I want nice character. Maybe this heavy one. So let's see if that works. Probably gonna have to turn this up a couple octaves. Gonna see if it's tuned correctly, and it is, because a lot of 808s are tuned like maybe 30 centitones off, and it's really annoying. And I use some pitch automation, so compression maybe. Some normal glue compression, EQ8. And I'm gonna now, of course, this chord patch also has bass, so I'm gonna cut that and then call this bass. Maybe I want this a little bit longer. That's more high end. And I want to, for the drop, I don't want it to make it as bouncy, more like straightforward, so I'm gonna make the bass a little bit. And I'm gonna copy these bass notes and paste them over to the chords, so this way I can have a reference of the kind of rhythm I want to have for the chords. So I want to get rid of this, get rid of this. Get rid of this as well. Get rid of these ones. Just this one and make these longer. Also here. Let me see. So let me solo this. And get rid of this. I'm sorry, this is a little bit of a boring part, but it's necessary. And then get rid of this. And we should be good. So we have the bass here, and I want to layer it maybe with really low cello or something. So I'm going to open up Kontakt. Let's see, analog strings.
Make your music stand out, get more views, and way more engagement. Bring your music to life. Get Music Visualizer. In every format, even for social media. Get started today. The link is in the description.
Hopefully it loads. It always takes a little bit the first time. Okay. Nice. I'm going to initialize, and I'm going to try to find. So that obviously doesn't work. We need to turn this down. Just this layer though. So I'm going to put the pitch in front of this. It sounds already quite nice. Let's see. Multiband compress this. I'm gonna cut out the sub and boost the 200s. Maybe pitch it down another octave. It's a little bit too low. And definitely make the decay a little bit shorter as well. Maybe change this 808 with a Kontakt. So Output has this really nice bass library. It's called Substance. It has a lot of very good samples and just starting points for really thick basses. So I'm going to try to dive into that a little bit, see if I can find something. It takes a little bit to load at first. But do you guys have any questions or anything you would like to see in this track? Or should I just continue doing what I'm doing and enjoying that? But definitely, if you guys have anything that you want to see at all, feel free to send it in the chat, and I'll try to give it a little place in the song. I'm gonna try this 808. That's a little bit too high, so I'm gonna add a MIDI effect. So maybe this is a little bit more of a verse. I don't really like the noise on top of here, so I'm going to change it. I'm not sure. It just sounds kind of like more of a verse part rather than a drop part. I'm going to duplicate the chords. So for the first part, we can use this as a bass. So let me see. Remove all of these upper notes. It is a little bit too fast, maybe 145 sounds better. We can also use waves as one. Also delete the reverb, just to create, to tighten up that stereo field a little bit more. So I'm going to turn on the width. Let me actually make sure I copy over all the automation. And let's try to write something for the drop. Something a little bit more spaced out, so we can really create like kind of a bigger drop, because this is more bouncy. Maybe as a B part for the drop, it could work. So I'm going to try it with the bass. gonna mess around with let's see. Let's see what note we're playing the bass then is an A sharp. So let's see if we can maybe go to the F then. Maybe. So we can copy that over to the harmony, and let's see, with the harmony I want to increase the reverb by quite a lot to really put it in the background. So let's see, let's make it better with the lead. Harmony also soloed and lead also soloed. Maybe a different layer for the harmony even, so I'm going to turn this down to -15 and let's see, duplicate it. I'm also going to save the project just in case. And I want this to be more of an actual sine plug. So no distortion. Maybe that combined with let's see, maybe some guitar. So I'm just gonna press guitar and I'm only gonna get loops, of course. It's all useless. Just give me a single note, please. Probably not gonna work. Maybe something like this. That's definitely not in key, so let's transpose that down. So let's get rid of this and turn this up. And let's start creating the harmony. So, okay. Maybe a little bit less attack, or more attack. Let's see, octave down. The RC20 is a little bit too noisy. So let's start messing around with some drums. So I'm gonna go into my own little sample bank where I just have like all the kicks that I made that I liked saved in the little folder. Maybe this one, and I'm just gonna try to follow the. Hey, wait a little bit. Click on this is a little bit too much, so I'm gonna turn that down. Just like that, and consolidate. Just probably get rid of this and let's see, let's get some nice snare. This sounds quite big. I don't know if I want it that big. No, definitely not. So, get rid of this first transient. I'm just gonna try a clap at first. And see if that works. And then maybe go to a snare, but I want to try a clap. Oh, I just spelled clap, that's why. Let's see, this one. Maybe still layer it with the snare, so I'm going to turn these down a little bit more. So that sounds nice. Let's use that one. The nice thing about claps is that you can pre-shift them a little bit. So you get a little bit more movement inside of the snare. So I'm gonna group that, call it snare, and just EQ it and compress it a little bit. I'm sorry if you hear that. Those are pipes in this house. Let's see. So we have to kick with the snare. And I want to make sure they're kind of equal in volume. That's the rule of thumb I always try to abide by. Just try to keep the kick and the snare in the same perceived volume. So we're just going to use this little loop here. I need to make sure it's quantized. So quantized settings, 8 notes. Maybe go to decap. Or into medicine. He oftentimes is very good. Percussion and drum loops. So let me see. And drum loops. That's nice. So we can use on the drum group. Just gonna make sure I compress it between 0 and -5 again, and then turn it up a little bit. And I want to use for the sidechain, I always use, at least nowadays, I always use a trigger. And so I'm just gonna grab a bit of a snare, grab the first, maybe this little part, and delete the rest, and just make it a little bit longer, consolidate it. Make sure it's 0 and give a nice click. We're gonna go into sends only, so this way you can't hear it, but you can use it for example, send and return tracks, and also sidechain compressors, for which we're gonna use it. So gonna throw a compressor on here, turn the threshold all the way down. Go to sidechain audio from trigger, ratio all the way up, and release down to taste. I always like to have like a very smooth and short curve. I'm gonna give a little bit of look ahead. And then on the master, I want to do just a little quick master. It's gonna sound like shit, but I'm gonna do glue compressor. Just make sure it's dancing in between those two. And I'm gonna use Invisible Limiter as my main limiter, and then I'm gonna use Pro L2 for the meter. So Pro L2 has this really nice loudness meter with the LUFS, which is really handy, since Invisible Limiter doesn't have that. So I'm going to turn it up until it distorts, and then I'm going to turn it down a little bit. So now I hear some issues with the mix just because it's a little louder. So I don't really love how the lead is EQ'd. So I'm gonna save. Hopefully it doesn't crash, and then there's a lead. And turn down the master a little bit. Maybe use triangle. Maybe try, I don't know, bandpass. Maybe it has a little bit too much reverb and delay, so I'll turn that down. And this is very much just like an iterative process, so I'm just gonna go back and tweak everything until it sounds the way I want it to sound like. Maybe try another difference. Some of the decay times are a little bit too long, so I'm just going to turn those down. Let's try an octave up. I want to turn down the C the third. So I want to turn up the volume but turn down on the decay time. Maybe add the LFO tool to the echo as well. Let's see. And for this bass, I want to add a layer of thirds, since we aren't playing thirds anymore on the main lead. So let's try this. I'm just going to use maybe we can just use a wavetable, just simple. Turn it down. So, no release, a little bit of attack. I just wrote some super cool vocals to this already. Nice. Definitely DM me afterwards. I want to hear those. Use RC20 and try to VHF. Maybe we can try messing around with changing the key. Let's try that. So I'm gonna go up 2 semitones. So now it's in A minor, just to give us a fresh ear. So here. So let's add some maybe vocals to this. Just gonna go out on a limb and see if that works. So let's try this. And I'm gonna use this and just loop that. And I'm gonna process this. So we're done with the lead, chords, and harmony, and probably also bass. So I'm gonna freeze those. Now I want to start messing with this vocal just to add some more rhythm to the synths section. So I want to add an LFO tool. Maybe some little altar boy. Also EQ8. Also, you can hear the alpha tool isn't really doing what it's supposed to do. So I'm gonna go into warp, beats mode, preserve, 8th notes. Use this little arrow, and then we can, this little slider, we can determine the length. Maybe some more vocals. Let's try this one and turn it down 3 semitones. Let's add a telephoto on this. I want to layer this lead with some white noise. Actually, I don't know why I'm duplicating the whole thing. That's stupid. I shouldn't have done that. So I'm gonna go into, copy this thing, operator, noise white. So Q8. To give this a little bit more character, I'm going to use auto pan. I'm going to use the phase on the 0 and the rate. Up a lot.
Make your music stand out, get more views, and way more engagement. Bring your music to life. Get Music Visualizer. In every format, even for social media. Get started today. The link is in the description.
So now I want to check how my waveform looks like. If any of you ever used reference tracks, you know what a big fat sausage looks like. You kind of want to go for that. So if let's see. Yeah, so that's exactly what we want it to look like. So the kick goes smoothly over into the bass, and the snare cuts through it really nicely. This is just a little thing I do, because your ears get tired no matter what, even if you produce for an hour at a time. So it's always good to kind of go back and see what's up. So you can see that it's weird that the kick here is really quiet compared to the rest. I don't know why that is. Hit attack. And I wanna group my percussion and use the same compressor as on the synths. So I definitely want to duplicate it just to create this first lead. Because the first lead is going to be a lot smaller and shorter and just not as interesting as the drop. So let's see if we can delete automation for this. For this as well. So this is definitely still in G minor. So let's turn it up. I have to freeze this as well. Done. See in the harmony. So maybe this filter is a little bit too far away. Maybe we can also make some drop chords. I'm not gonna make them really big, just some more high end. So let's Command I. I'm going to insert 32 bars here, so I have a little bit of space to work with. And let's start messing around with some intro ideas. So I'm gonna start quite simple. So let's make a little Reese. So I'll use the bass here and not go crazy. So just the basic notes and legato, something like that. So I'm going to use a wavetable to make a little Reese. So I'm going to loop this. So I want to make this a little bit less wide, bass mono, then compress it so it's not as inconsistent. And also turn down that bass a little bit. So I'm gonna low cut it. I'm gonna freeze these again. Yeah, let me just freeze these. And I wanna filter these in. So I'm gonna just add an auto filter. And I'm gonna also turn up the dry over the course of this. So we start with this. Let me add some atmosphere as well to this. Let me see. This one's nice. This one is in C and G, and we are in A minor, so I'm going to turn it down 3 semitones. It also has some low end, which I don't really fancy. So RC20. Some reverb. So toward the end of this, I want this to filter out. And maybe also with this, let me see, LFO tool. Let me make a little pause. And I want to automate the volume of this. So what this means is, well, you'll hear it, because it's going to go from to that. Maybe we can also do the same on this bass. Let's see. So maybe add a third to this. So I'm going to look out of this and do 3, 4, 3. Okay. Maybe with something from Kontakt. Let's see. Rickenbacker bass. Could probably do something with this. So delay. Let's make Q8. Let's see. See, maybe we can do something double time here, because it sounds like it's supposed to be double time. I don't really like this kick, so a quick way to replace all the kicks inside of Ableton with when you're using audio is going to the sample, right click, do manage sample file, and then click this little hot swap button right there, and as long as hot swap mode is enabled, you can double click any sample. So this kick is nice. And we share a little bit smaller, shorter. Let's see. I want to use some filter delay maybe, just to make it a little bit more interesting. I'm just trying to figure out how I can make the snare a little bit more unique. I'm gonna try changing the key again, just for fun, seeing if maybe it works better. So I'm just gonna copy all of this to here. I'm also gonna save it, the project I mean, just in case something crashes. I want to see if I can put the lead in a little bit. So I like that way more. The lead sits in a way of a nicer position in the frequency range. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the bass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then this first note gets quite low. So let's do that. 5. No, I like the old version still more. So let's just use this one. So I'm not going to use reverb or sidechain in this section. add a little fill in that section. So let's see, cool packs, fills. Like that one. Maybe we can layer it with some of those. So let's see. Oh wait, it's 145, and they should all line up correctly. Beats mode, and let's use 16ths. Maybe a repitch. Just like that. Oh, this is also not warped, so let's use repitch again, so we don't lose any quality. And let's see. So that definitely does not fit at all. Maybe add I did not need to do that. Let's try this instead. Maybe that works a little bit better. Let's use this Reese, and I want to try that real bass again. Maybe that will be nice. So let's see, Rickenbacker bass. What kind of movement do they use in the bass here? And let's all use the same velocity. Go down to the C, and what does he do here? So just copy that. let's try layering that with this one and make thirds out of it. So and we can turn the decay down in this section because it's quite long. Let's turn it down to and I want to freeze the lead just so I can use the audio, and I'm going to make a little audio track, and if you hold Option or I think it's Alt on Windows and just drag that first track over, you will get the audio. So now we have so now we can start messing with this, filtering it, etc. So just like that, and we can use Endless Smile before those. And let's see, let's go for Too Hard and start messing with that as well. Maybe we can make this double time as well, just to see if that works, because it definitely works in the break, and it might as well work here, so why not? So let's see, just gonna copy that over. Okay, so that needs a lot of tweaking. We don't have enough time for that. So I'm just gonna play it through and we can wrap it up. It's been 2 hours. Let me see. I kind of wanna maybe use this here. Okay, well, I'll just play it through. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's been 2 hours. I hope you guys learned something about, I don't know, workflow, melodies, sound design, etc. And yeah, hope you have a great rest of your day. My name is Sam, and peace out.